Hello there. Today I will be showing you how to draw a watercolor cat. So to start, we're going to sketch out the cat, and I am using a plain sheet of printer paper and drawing a nice big circle on it. I'm going to divide the circle into halves both ways so you end up with a pizza looking thing. Now divide your thing up into 3 parts like this. And these will be your references for where you place your eyes and your ears. So for the eyes, I'm starting a little bit outside of the inside line. By the way, when I say inside, I'm referring to the line on either side that is closest to the center line. So kind of making like a weird almondy shape. And these are going to be in the top half of the face. So they should not go on the bottom of the center line horizontally. And now for the ears, I am starting them on the inside line, like in that line. Then I am bringing them down. And you can really make your ears different sizes because all cats are different. And so I'm just touching up the circle-y part a little. So I'm darkening some of the lines, and now I'm going to go onto the eyes. So I'm going to make these pupil vertical slits like this, and so just draw 2 more skinny almond shapes kind of in the center of the eyes. Now I'm adjusting my ears because I don't really like the way they look. I think it looks too like upright. I don't know, aren't cat ears like more sideways and like round, not so pointy? I'm not really sure, but I'm just gonna continue playing around with it until I feel it looks decent. So I am darkening some of the lines because we will end up tracing this onto a piece of watercolor paper. And of course, I am making this cat with a mask on, although you don't have to. If you weren't going to draw the mask, then you would draw the nose and like the mouth. I just chose to draw a mask over it because I didn't want to draw the nose. So I'm just sketching the basic shape of the mask and like making some guidelines for the folds. So when you're done with your cat drawing, you want to transfer onto a piece of watercolor paper. So to do that, you can darken up the lines and hold the watercolor paper over onto a window and trace it. So now onto the watercolor part, I am using a nice gray. Of course, you can use any other color. To start, I'm using a medium-sized brush and applying it near the bridge of the nose and using a water brush to like spread it out, like fan it out. To make it really light, because this cat is going to be worked in a lot of layers and you want to work from light to dark. So I'm adding some more gray to the sides of its face. This is just the nice base layer, so you don't want to go too dark. Just get like the general color swatch in. So now I'm using the yellow and I'm going in with the eyes while I wait for the fur coat to dry. Okay, so now I'm going in with a darker gray. And again, basically doing the same thing. You want there to be a lot of layers to look like there's a lot of fur on this cat. So generally, I find that there's 2 ways of painting cat fur, or like any animal fur. There's like the way where you do every single hair individually and it's super clear. That takes a lot of time and I don't have the patience for that. Or there's like this way, I guess, where you do like it in, you may like get the general feeling of it. So again, with the darker coat. So I'm just making these coats gradually darker and darker. And then so for the ears, I am going in with a smaller size paintbrush with the darker gray and adding some fur. And so I'm just adding some streaks of fur all throughout the cat's face. And this is all very monotone right now, but I promise you there will be lots and lots of different shades later. So you might have noticed that when I'm doing these first strokes, they're kind of spreading out a little. That's because the coat underneath was still a little bit damp, so there's still moisture, and that causes the paint to spread out. So I added a really light coat of pink to the ears. Now I'm going in with an even darker coat and just doing the same thing, adding some fur, darkening up places that I think need to be darkened. Now I'm going with a really dark coat and adding more fur. The base layers are completely dry now, so it's really easy to make clear, harsh fur, although you don't really want your fur to be harsh, so use some water and spread it out. Adding little whisker things on the side. They're not super dark. And then going in with the ear fur again. I found the ears on this cat to be my favorite part. They were really fun to do. Like, they're not super big, they're super fun. Yeah, I don't know, just something about the ears made me really enjoy painting it. So for the eyes, I'm using plain black paint. You could also use a Sharpie and go over it when you're done. So now I'm using a really skinny brush to outline the eyes to make them pop like they're staring at you in the middle of the night. Adding more fur again. See, I told you there would be lots of layers. I can't even count how many layers there are in this. And so I'm just going back and forth using my water brush to fan out parts that I think are too harsh. And I am giving a little outline to the outside of the ears. Now I'm going in with this nice mask colored blue, and I'm just giving the mask a nice plain swatch. So this probably would have been easier to do when the paint was still wet, but mistakes were made. Anyways, I am going to lighten up the middle by removing some of the paint and then blending it in with the rest of it. And so I'm just making sure that's smooth before going in with a darker blue to make the folds in the mask. And then again, I'm using more water to fan it out towards the center because, you know, your mask is like wrinkly and stuff like that. So then I'm applying a darker coat to the top as well because I feel like the top of masks and the bottom are a little bit darker. They're in the shadow. So I guess my goal here is to make the mask as realistic as possible, although you don't have to do this. So just like adding darker blues where the shadows are, and then like lightening up the color where there's like the highlight spots. And now with all the blending, the original creases have gotten faded, so I must go over them again. So now back to the cat, we are using a darker gray. It's almost black, but it's not quite. Adding a little bit of fur, and then we're moving on to the body. So I'm using a nice medium small sized brush and just doing some jagged strokes for the body. This does not have to be perfect at all. We didn't even sketch a body out, so. And then just blend the bottom out. And I'm going in with the darker color. So just adding jagged strokes, like around the top, and using some water to blend it in if it looks too harsh. And then I'm also bringing it down more so the cat's body looks longer, and again adding more fur, blending it out again. And here we go again. I'm pretty sure like half this video was just me doing this over and over again. Well, I mean, the fur is the cat's whole body, so now we're touching up the mask a little bit, adding the last and final shadows, and then touching up some of the hairs, adding darker parts to the inside of the ears so they look like they go in. Now I'm going in with some white acrylic paint to do the mask like strap things. I don't know, like the elasticy things on the mask. And now we're done.